1 of 35 1936, screenwriter Dudley Nichols declines his Oscar. Only a few years after the Academy Awards were created, screenwriter Dudley Nichols became the first of many to decline his Oscar, which was a Best Screenwriter award for The Informer. He refused the award as an act of solidarity with the Writers Guild, which was striking at the time. 2 of 35 1940, Hattie McDaniel wins Best Supporting Actress, but is seated at a segregated table. 4 of 35 1961, Elizabeth Taylor wins Best Actress. When Elizabeth Taylor received her award, it was on the heels of her affair with Eddie Fisher, who was married to Debbie Reynolds, basically America's sweetheart. This caused many people to see Taylor unfavorably. As if that wasn't enough, she won for her role in Butterfield 8, where she plays, as her character calls herself, the slut of all time. Needless to say, more than a few eyebrows were raised when she won. Related, the most scandalous red carpet dresses ever. 5 of 35 1964, Anne Bancroft kisses Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier made history when he became the first black man to win the award for Best Actor, thanks to his performance in Lilies of the Field. Actress Anne Bancroft congratulated him with a kiss on the cheek, which conservative audiences at the time found scandalous. 7 of 35 1971, George C. Scott rejects his award for Best Actor. George C. Scott had told the Academy that he would reject any nomination for his portrayal of Gen. George S. Patton in Patton. Still, despite his protests, he went on to be nominated for and win Best Actor in that year's ceremony. He wasn't there to accept his award, choosing instead to spend the night at home in New York. So why was he so against the award in the first place? He said he didn't like the idea of creative performances being compared. 8 of 35 1973, Marlon Brando sends Native American activist Sacheen Littlefeather to the stage. Marlon Brando received the Academy Award for Best Actor thanks to his iconic role in The Godfather. But when his name was called, it wasn't Brando who took the stage, but rather Native American actress and activist Sacheen Littlefeather. She said that the actor, very regretfully, could not accept the award as a form of protest towards Hollywood's portrayal of Native Americans. 10 of 35 1975, Bert Schneider thanks anti-war activists. Hearts and Minds, a film that heavily criticized the Vietnam War, took home the Oscar for Best Documentary Feature. Producer Bert Schneider used his acceptance speech to read a telegram from the head of the North Vietnamese delegation to the Paris peace talks, and thank anti-war activists. Later in the show, Frank Sinatra shared a note from Bob Hope. The Academy is saying, "We are not responsible for any political references made on the program, and we are sorry they had to take place this evening." 11 of 35 1978, Vanessa Redgrave wins Best Supporting Actress after major controversy. Redgrave won for her role in Julia, which was based on a memoir by Lillian Hellman about her friend who helped fight Nazis during World War II. But many thought that Hellman had fabricated the entire story. To further complicate things, Redgrave had recently produced and narrated a pro-Palestine documentary. This angered many people, who called Redgrave anti-Semitic and encouraged the Academy not to vote for her. 13 of 35 see more jaw-dropping Oscar gowns. 15 of 35 1989, Rob Lowe and Snow White perform an awkward duet. 17 of 35 1993, Richard Gere gets banned from Oscars presenting after his fiery speech. During the same ceremony, Richard Gere spoke about human rights in China and the mistreatment of Tibetans, and encouraged audiences to send love and truth and a kind of sanity to Deng Xiaoping right now in Beijing. That he will take his troops and take the Chinese away from Tibet. He was supposedly banned from the Oscars after that, but it seems 20 years later, everyone had forgotten and he was allowed back. 19 of 35 1999, Elia Kazan receives Lifetime Achievement Award. Elia Kazan was a controversial figure in Hollywood. He had previously testified in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee in 1952 at the height of the Red Scare, telling them about 8 of his old friends who had been members of the Communist Party, effectively ending their careers. Because of this, there were protesters gathered outside the ceremony to oppose Kazan receiving the award. Notably, actors Nick Nolte, Ed Harris, and Amy Madigan made a point of staying in their seats and not applauding when Kazan took the stage. 25 of 35 2003, Roman Polanski wins Best Director. 26 of 35 2006, Crash wins Best Picture, beating out Brokeback Mountain. Another hugely controversial Best Picture win was Crash, which beat out the trailblazing Brokeback Mountain. Even the film's director Paul Haggis has said he didn't think Crash deserved an Oscar. A 2015 poll of Academy voters asking them to reassess past decisions found that many members would reverse the decision and give the award to Brokeback Mountain. 27 of 35 2009, Sean Penn wins for portraying Harvey Milk and makes speech about Prop 8. Sean Penn won an Oscar for his portrayal of Harvey Milk, a famous politician and gay rights activist. Notably, Penn won the award shortly after California passed Prop 8, which effectively banned gay marriage. In his speech, he said, "I think that it is a good time for those who voted for the ban against gay marriage to sit and reflect and anticipate their great shame and the shame in their grandchildren's eyes if they continue that way of support. We've got to have equal rights for everyone." 29 of 35 2013, host Seth MacFarlane jokes about domestic violence. Some reviewers thought Hathaway and Franco did a bad job hosting, but they still didn't tank as bad as MacFarlane, who made a series of inappropriate jokes that many viewers found tasteless. The New Yorker called it the Oscars' hostile, ugly, sexist night. At one point, MacFarlane joked about Django Unchained, saying it was the story of a man fighting to get back his woman, who has been subjected to unthinkable violence. Or as Chris Brown and Rihanna call it, a date movie. Yikes.